Welcome back, everybody. This is Nicole from Wildflower Valley Farm again, and I'm just doing a little update on the chicks. They are 7 days old today. I bought them on Wednesday of last week, and today is Tuesday. So I'm just going to give kind of an update and show you how they're doing. So I mentioned in my last video that what I'm doing for bedding is I started out with just an inch and a half of shavings, so that I can add more to it and not have to do complete total bedding changes every 2 or 3 days. I have added a little bit of shavings to what you see here since the last time, or since the last video when I first set this up, but I really haven't added that much. And while I'm going to just go ahead and clean this box out and show you what I do to add to this, like I said, so that I don't have to do complete total changes every time. So I'm just going to move everything out of the way except for the chicks themselves. They got fresh food and water this morning and they still have plenty of that, so I'm not going to give them any extra this evening. Just a couple of handfuls, right like this, is all it's going to take. The shavings under their water aren't really all that dirty. It's just under the light and the food that is the dirtiest. Sadly, I did lose 3 of the chicks to unknown causes. 2 of them actually did have poopy butt, and I cleaned them off, but I don't think that I caught it in time, unfortunately. The third one, I did not observe anything to be wrong with that third chick, so I really don't know what caused its demise, unfortunately. But all of the others seem to be very healthy. They are growing, they are thriving. You can tell, I think, a difference in the egg layer breeds versus the Cornish crosses, because even though they are exactly the same age, there is a difference in size, as if they are a week older than the egg laying breeds, which it's not surprising to me. It's just, to me, it's an amazing thing to watch. So I'm just going to put everything back just like I had it. The board to keep the water out of the shavings, that helps to keep the water from getting the shavings wet. And feeder. And they are scratching around, having a grand old time. I'm actually going to move this feeder over to a different space because I'm going to give them a treat this evening. So one of my goals with these chicks is to raise them with as little store-bought feed as possible, and one of the keys to doing that is to let them learn how to forage. And so I'm giving them a treat tonight. It's their first grass from outside, and just to kind of help them learn how to peck at it and eat it, I'm going to cut it up into little short pieces. I'm just using just a pair of regular scissors to cut this grass up into smaller pieces that they can manage. Now, older chicks and adult chickens, this would not even be necessary, but since these guys are just learning, I want to help them as much as I can. And you see, I'm not measuring, I'm not even being careful to make sure it's all the same length. I'm just kind of doing a rough chop here. I'm just going to leave it in this bowl. I don't know if it's true or if it's an old wives' tale. All of my life, I have been told that chickens will just naturally peck at red things. That is supposedly why the plastic bottom of a waterer or the type of feeder that you screw onto a jar. Supposedly that's the reason why they are red. So I bought this red plastic bowl at the Dollar Tree. So that, I actually bought it in case I needed more feed, but they're doing just fine with the feeder that I have. But I'm going to put these grass clippings in there in this red container. And maybe the red, if the story about the red being enticing to them is true, then maybe the red bowl will attract them to investigate this grass. And if you remember from the last video I had, or even the beginning of this one, you saw that I had this feeder sitting kind of crossways across the brooder box like this. That was no real reason for that other than to allow the chicks to get to both sides of the feeder. I've moved it to along this side for two reasons. Number one reason is to make room for these grass clippings that I'm putting down here. But the other reason is that these guys have learned quite well how to scratch around, and they are scratching shavings to the point that it's filling up the feeder with shavings, and then they can't get to the feed. And I'm not here while I'm at work. I'm not here during the day to observe them throughout the day, so I don't know if they are not eating once the food gets covered up with shavings. But they don't seem to have missed a meal. But I'm hoping that by moving it against the side of the brooder box right here, that it will prevent them from completely filling it full of shavings. Or I may find that it makes it worse. I do check on them at least twice a day. So I'll check on them before I go to bed tonight to see how they're doing, and again in the morning. And we'll just see if this helps with the shavings situation or not. But I'm hoping that they'll find these grass clippings. And another thing that I forgot to mention when I did it, I moved the light up. The further away the light is from the bottom of the box, the cooler the brooder itself is. And these guys being a week old, it's okay to decrease the temperature slightly. So I've done that. And again, I'm going to check on them again before I go to bed this evening to make sure that they're not too cold. But for the moment, they don't seem to mind the fact that I've moved the light further away. So that's really all that I do for them when I check on them. Like I said, I check them twice a day, but very often they don't need extra food or water both times when I check on them. The water I actually just filled up this morning for the first time since I set this brooder up a week ago. It still had a couple of inches of water left in it, so it wasn't even completely empty. But it has lasted them a week, so that's good. That is helpful in saving me time. And the feeder I do have to fill up. They've never completely emptied it in a single day, but it gets low enough that I know it won't last 2 days. So I do generally fill it up at least once a day. And now that they're getting older, they're going to consume more food. So it may be that I have to fill it up twice a day, or I may have to add another feeder or put feed in this red bowl. Hopefully, as they get older, they will learn to eat some of the scraps out of the kitchen, and I can supplement with that as well. Plus, it teaches them to forage, like I said. So, but they're doing well. I'm excited. I am still on the lookout for some Americanas. I have to keep calling Tractor Supply every week to see what they have. So we'll see. Hopefully, they can help me out with that as well. So that is all for today's video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Be sure to check out the description below for links to all of our social media channels. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe.